Hi students, welcome to VerandaRace, and today's session is all about 25 questions of ESIC, and the heading is English Made Easy. So we will ensure that you learn all the concepts, you solve all the questions based on a bit of quickness so that you can solve all the questions very easily with a speed and accuracy as well. So let us start the session today. So it is ESIC based question, 25 questions will be solved by you. Let us start the session. The first question is filler question. So we'll have the question based on ESIC pattern and we'll ensure that we solve it very quickly. So the first question is, the terrorist modules have been recently dashed by the army. The terrorist modules have been recently dashed by the army. So you know that the questions in ESIC are not very difficult questions, but are based on common and basic understanding of English. Although the rearrangement or the passage is a bit difficult, but other questions like fillers and error spotting are easier questions. So we have designed this question set based on ESIC pattern so that you understand how to solve it very fast. So the first question is, the terrorist modules have been recently dashed by the army. Red-handed. You catch someone red-handed, but you bust, the army busted the terrorist module. So terrorists must have made some modules of how to make attacks at different places. So it should be busted. Busted means to disclose, to divulge, to fail a particular, to sabotage a particular plan by the terrorists. That will be busted. To disclose, divulge and sabotage. Found, maybe you might feel that it is suitable, but it's not the case over here because found is just finding something. But busting it means disclosing, divulging, revealing and making it a failure. That will be busted. Detonated, bombs are detonated by the special forces of our nation. So held is also incorrect. So busted would be the correct answer. Clear? Busted, correct. Okay, very good. Good morning everyone. So moving ahead to the next question. The role of teenagers in nation building cannot be dashed. The role of teenagers in nation building cannot be dashed. So here upheld means supported. Forborne means to tolerate or have patience in tolerating something. Negligible. So here cannot be. So here it should be a V3 verb. V3 cannot be done, cannot be negated, cannot be applied. So you can see upheld, forborne are V3, but negligible and understatement are nouns. This is an adjective, but it is not a V3 verb. So negligible and understatement are already out of question. So it should be underestimated. That's correct answer. That's correct answer. Okay. Next question. The mission to dash the hijacked aeroplane ended up unaccomplished. I like answers from you in this question. What answer do you think should be? The mission to dash the hijacked aeroplane ended up unaccomplished. So the mission to take control of is quite a close answer. The mission to free the hijacked aeroplane ended up unaccomplished. So either it can be freeing it up or taking the control of it. So it is also a probable answer. Capture the hijacked aeroplane is also probable answer. So we'll see which answer can be. Undercover and take care of are absolutely incorrect. These two are incorrect. So somebody says A, free. Naveen Babu says free. Arul Mozi says A. So the mission to free the hijacked aeroplane ended up unaccomplished. So when you say ended up unaccomplished, it means there was some positive mission going about it. So free would be the correct answer. Taking control, a hijacked plane is already taken control of. A hijacked aeroplane is already taken control of, students. So it should be free. Because if you're trying to free the hijacked aeroplane and it ended up unaccomplished, means you're trying to achieve that, right? So when you try to achieve that, then it becomes unaccomplished. So free would be the correct answer. B, yes, Vijay Bala correct. Smashing Shakti says A. Take control of suits the blank over here, but it's already in control, right? By someone. So why to create a dicey situation? So free would be the correct answer. When you choose an answer, it makes it dicey, right? Whether it was they wanted to free it or they wanted to take control of it. So free would be something which ended up unaccomplished. Okay. Next, poultry and cattle rearing are the two most dash occupation practiced in rural areas. Precarious is dangerous. Pre-existing means it was continuing earlier also. Predominant will be the correct answer. Predominant will be the correct answer means it's a prominent. Predominant means it has lot of prominence there in rural areas. Poultry and cattle rearing, it has lot of prominence. So predominant will be the correct answer. Valid, non-existence are incorrect option. You know the meaning of all these words, right? Valid means something which has value, it has validity. Precarious is dangerous. Pre-existing, that was continuing earlier also. The answer would be predominant. C, correct. Shilpa Rai, C, correct. Predominant, correct. Case 1. Moving on to the next question. Yeah, Vijay Bala, correct. Okay. Next, the fire department's dash resulted in the loss of all those who got stuck in the building caught on fire. The fire department's dash resulted in the loss of all those who got stuck in the building caught on fire. So consciousness, how would consciousness of the fire department would cause the loss of all those? So it should be negligence. Negligence means the very fact of neglecting something. So neglect, the fire department's neglect can also be the answer, but negligence would mean that neglecting it, ignoring it, not taking it seriously. So it would be negligence. Underwork is like not performing up to the mark. Neglect could have been the answer, but negligence is a better answer. Okay. D is the correct answer. Unconsciousness and consciousness cannot be the answers, right? Next question. So it's a rearrangement question. Rearrangement. So we'll try to solve it methodically and we'll ensure that we solve it very easily. Okay, let's see. Okay, the stock of global debt has gone from 83 trillion in 2002 around 295 trillion in 2021. So this cannot be the first sentence. First of all, this cannot be the first sentence. Its rate, it says. Its rate means something has already been spoken of. Debt rose from 20 to 30% of GDP in 2002. It cannot be the first sentence, obviously, because it talks about debt rose to, means something has happened earlier. Never before has the world economy been so indebted. Never has before the world economy been so indebted. So this can be probably the first sentence. I'll tell you why. Generally a sentence starts with the event, introduction of the event. Introduction of the event by saying, never before the world had seen such a pandemic like COVID. This is the introductory sentence. So the world economy talks about the economy. So economy has been indebted. So A would be the second sentence. The economy has been indebted. So A would be the second sentence. The stock of global debt has gone from 83 trillion debt, global debt, because it talks about the indebtedness. So global debt has gone from 83 trillion to 2002 around 295 trillion in 2021. So D, A. Next, its rate nearly doubled the pace of world GDP growth. Its rate means what? Global debt. Its rate means what? Global debt. So it would be its rate nearly doubled the pace of world GDP growth. So DAB. Next comes debt rose from 20 to 30% of GDP in 2000 to 20% on the eve of the pandemic before COVID-19 propelled it the even greater height of 355% last year. So in B it talks about its rate nearly doubled the pace of world GDP growth. So here it talks about rose from 230% in 2002 320% on the eve of the pandemic and then 355% last year, almost doubled. So you understand, B talks about being doubled and C talks about the actual figures. So D, A, B, C and E would be the last sentence. What's E actually? Part of the reason for this explosion, very easy question, explosion has been the steady decline in borrowing costs over the past 2 decades. Very easy question. So you can see D talks about the introduction of the event, and A talks about the indebtedness, which is around 83 trillion in 2002, 295 trillion in 2021. Then it talks about B, its rate means the indebtedness rate has nearly doubled the pace, and then C talks about the 230% converting into 355%, almost double, right? Almost, not exactly. Then it comes E, part of the reason for this explosion. It talks about the explosion. Fine. So moving ahead to the next question. Now we have error spotting questions. Error spotting. Let's see. New Zealand announced plans to reopen its border in phases after imposing some of the toughest COVID-related restrictions in the world. Okay. New Zealand announced plans to reopen its borders, no error in that till now, in phases after imposing some of the toughest COVID-related restrictions in the world. So, this part, A part has no error. B part has its borders is about New Zealand, so there is no error in that. After imposing some, there is no error in B also. Of the toughest COVID-19 related restrictions, so this is no error question. No error in this. Okay. Moving ahead to the next question. Whatever my spouse says, I obey it as she means everything for me. So somebody means everything to someone else, not for. So it would be to me. So whatever my spouse says, I obey it as she means everything to me. So error would be in part D. D has an error. So if you mean something to someone, she means everything to me, I mean everything to her. That's the correct use actually, to. Fine. E. The previous one maybe. Moving ahead to the next question. Next common error question, error spotting question. Education is the process of learning and unlearning of concepts that have been inculcated in your mind through constant repetition. So this off shouldn't be here. This off shouldn't be here because it says learning and unlearning concepts. Off is not required. So it will be error in part B. Error in part B. Learning and unlearning concepts. Clear? That have been inculcated in the younger mind, in your mind through constant repetition. Fine. Moving ahead to the next question. The real transformation comes in a human being when he understands that good company is what he needs. Okay. The real transformation comes into a human being. The real transformation comes into a human being when he understands that good company is what he needs. So, transformation into someone, not in someone. So, the answer will be the real transformation comes into a human being when he understands that good company is what he needs. So, it will be B. B has an error. Clear? It's a difficult question, trust me. Next question. Okay. Real friends never help you while you are committing a mistake, but they are the ones who stand by you when you land in a problem. Very interesting question. Just a minute. Anyone answer to this question? I'm expecting the answers from you. Okay, I'll tell you the answer. So real friends never help you while you are committing a crime mistake, but they are the ones who stand by you when you land in a problem. So no error would be the answer. There is no error in this question. Fine. So moving ahead to the next question. I'm expecting answers from you. Okay. So now we have the the closed test questions. So Hara is the name of Lord Shiva and Hari is the name of Lord Narayana. So what we have to do is, some parts of the passage have been emboldened. They have been made bold. You have to find whether this word can be replaced by these words or it can't, or they can't be replaced. No replacement is required. So first part is Hara is the name of Lord Shiva and Hari is the name of Lord Narayana, and both of these names indicate one who steals. One who steals. See, it's over here, it's both of these names. So it cannot be a singular verb. Mentions, reminds, templates, repeats. So no replacement required will be the correct answer. Indicate is a plural verb. All the options are singular verbs. Indicates, repeats, reminds, templates. So this will be the answer. Both Shiva and Narayana get rid of our sins. Both Shiva and Narayana get rid of our sins, and hence the aptness of the names of the Vedic mantras. Even the stealing of butter by Krishna has symbolism to it. We do not offer willingly to the Lord, and by such acts he seeks to look us that we have failed in doing the right thing. So it should be remind us. It should be remind us. So what it means is by stealing and doing willingly these acts, he seeks to remind us that we have failed in doing the right thing. By doing something wrong, they remind us that we have failed in doing something right. Clear? So it will be remind. So remind will be the correct answer. Connect, write and watch would not be the correct answer. Let's move to the third question of this closed test. Okay. It is said that if we listen to the story of Krishna stealing butter, then that very act of qualifying will rid us of our sins. So we have heard that when we listen to the story of Krishna stealing butter, that will get us rid of our sins. So what should be the word for here? Qualifying will. So then the very act of qualifying will, then the very act of concerting. Okay, concerting will be the answer. Okay, so qualifying means that, oh my God, qualifying means that here would mean that you're doing something to prove something else. But it means, it is said that if we listen to the story of Krishna stealing butter, then that very act of concerting will rid us of our sins. Concerting means you are being a witness to the storytelling, basically. So concerting being witness to something. So that will be concerting. So his thieving itself, next part would be, so his thieving itself saves us. When he is a thief who takes away what should not be with us, when his act of thievery is not merely depressed, when his act of thievery is not merely dash but of positive and lasting benefit of mankind. So it would be, see, we have written that when his act of thievery is not merely dash but of positive and lasting benefit of mankind. So here the word should be praises, deletes, mutes. See, is plus V3, benign, praises, deletes, mutes. So if we write, when he is the thief who takes away what should not be with us, his act of thievery is not merely benign but of positive and lasting. So this is the correct answer. No replacement required. Because if we write benign means what? Benign means which is not malignant, which is very simple. So but here you see over here but has been written. So when his act of thievery is not merely depressed, so depressed here would mean something which is done based on sadness, melancholy. But he is not doing that based on melancholy. It's not an action that which is depressed, but a positive and lasting benefit to mankind. Is it any wonder that it should be viewed as an endearing trait of his? Should we accept that this is a very beautiful trait of his? The Vedas naturally extol. Extol means what? Extol means praise this quality. It is to remind us of his kindness and of the need for us to place our trust in him, that the Vedas derives such a praise in the mantras. You see over there the last part of the question, 5, it should be a Vedas is plural. So it should be a plural verb. Vedas incorporate. Incorporate means add, customize, add. So the Vedas incorporate such a praise in mantras. Incorporate means add or inculcate, basically. Fine. Now let's move to the passage. We have a reading comprehension section. So before we do reading comprehension, let's read the questions first. Okay, what are the two most predominant features that worked during COVID-19 pandemic? What are the two most predominant features that worked during the COVID-19 pandemic? Okay, we will make a note of this question. Two most predominant features that worked during the COVID-19 pandemic. Next question. We'll take two questions at one time. Okay. What is the trend that has not changed that was prevalent during the pandemic? What is the trend that has not changed that was prevalent during the pandemic? These two questions will take. So first question was, what are the two most predominant features that worked during the COVID-19 pandemic? Two strong features, predominant features, and the other question was, what has not changed that was prevalent during the pandemic? So let's go ahead and read the passage. Okay, this is RC. Since the onset of the coronavirus pandemic in early 2020, many have wondered when the world will return to normal. But whether things will ever go back to the way they were is unclear. Remote working looks set to continue, for example, and going to the movies may never be as popular as it used to be. So remote working looks good. So these things have changed. Remote working is to continue, and going to the movies may never be as popular as it used to be. The emergence of the Omicron variant has rendered two shots of vaccine less effective against COVID-19, threatens to undo much of the progress the world has made it inoculating its citizens. Inoculating means what? Letting the virus injected in the body, vaccinated in the body, create antibodies. Fine. Okay. Inoculating its citizens. The Economist has devised a normalcy index to track how behavior has changed and continues to change because of the pandemic. Our index comprises 8 indicators split into 3 domains. The first grouping is transport and travel, public transport in big cities, the amount of traffic congestion in those same cities, and the number of international and domestic flights. Okay, let's go to the questions. 2 questions can be answered now. What are the 2 most prominent features that worked during the COVID-19 pandemic? Theatre visit? No. So these questions cannot be answered right now. We have to read the passage earlier. The second question, let us see. What is the trend that has not changed that was prevalent during the pandemic? So even after the pandemic is still continuing, working from home is prevalent till now. So people are still working from home, and theatre, they are not going to theatre. So movies, this is not the correct answer. So this is the correct answer. Let's go to the previous question, or let us see the next question and we'll solve the previous question later on. Which among the things that has been restricted at the time of the pandemic has shown faster recovery? Let us go to the passage. We'll read the second paragraph. The second looks at recreation. The second looks at recreation and entertainment. How much time is spent outside the home, cinema box office revenues, and attendance at professional sports events. Okay. The third is retailing work, footfall in shops, and occupancy of offices measured by workplace footfall in big cities. The global normalcy index plummeted in March 2020 as many countries imposed draconian restrictions on their citizens. It fell to just 35 in April 2020 before improving gradually over the following months. Today it stands at 75, suggesting that the world has travelled roughly 2/3 of the way back to pre-pandemic life. Some indicators such as retail footfall and time spent outside have recovered faster than. Okay, we have got the answer. Retail footfall and time spent outside have recovered faster. So let's go to the passage again, question again. Retail footfall and online ordering of goods. Fine. This is the correct answer. Next question, let's read the next question and we'll also solve the second question. First question. With regards to transport sector, which is the one that is not as it was before the pandemic? Transport sector. Okay, let's go back. We'll see the transport sector. The global average marks a lot of variation across countries. Public transport has recovered strongly since the onset of the pandemic. Public transport has recovered strongly since the onset of the pandemic. Levels of traffic congestion have rebounded too, yet many planes remain grounded across the world as testing and quarantine rules impede international travel. Impede means what? Stopped or demotivated. When lockdowns were at their most stringent in April 2009, no, we have already talked about transport, right? Transport has recovered strongly. So let's go to the question again. With regards to transport sector, which is the one that is not as it was before the pandemic? Train service and water transport, bus service, air travel, traffic congestion on roads. This is the correct answer. This is not as it was earlier, okay? But air travel has recovered, but this is traffic congestion on roads is not as it was earlier, okay? Next. How much the level of normalcy has returned compared to pre-pandemic times with respect to normalcy index? 1/3, 1/4, 2/3, 2/5, 3/4. Let's go. How much it has recovered? Yet many planes remain grounded across the world as testing and quarantine rules impede international travel. When lockdowns were at their most stringent, the time spent outside the home fell by 20% according to our global average. In contrast, the closure of cinemas and sports stadiums caused activity in those venues to fall to zero. They have been on a slow path of recovery since. Cinemas received a big boost from the release of long-awaited James Bond film in October, but they have sunk back since. Okay, moving ahead. Zoom meetings and Amazon deliveries have been two prominent features. We have got the answer to the first question. Zoom meetings and Amazon deliveries. First question answer got. Only one question is left. The fraction one. So we got a figure of 20% somewhere. Let's go to the question again. The last question. One-third, 1/4, 2/3, 2/5. Okay. So what is 20%? 1/5, I guess, right? So by how much of the level of normalcy has returned compared to pre-pandemic times with respect to normalcy index? So this is the keyword. Normalcy index is the keyword. We'll find the answer to this question. Normalcy index. We'll find the answer to this question basically. Let's go back. Normal, but whether things will go, has. So it's better to read all the questions earlier only, okay? Our index comprises 8 indicators split into 3 domains, grouping transport and travel, public transport in big cities, and amount of traffic congestion in those same cities, and number of international and domestic trade. We have not got any fraction till now. Normalcy index. The economist has devised a normalcy to track how behavior has changed and continues to change because of the pandemic. Our index comprises 8 indicators split into 3 domains. The first grouping is transport and travel, public transport in big cities, the amount of traffic congestion in those same cities, and the number of international and domestic flights. So it is the third is retailing, okay. Okay, we have to get the fraction, right? So here we got it, the normalcy index. So the emergence of Omicron variant has rendered 2 shots of vaccine less effective against COVID-19, threatens to undo much of the progress the world has made in inoculating its citizens. Economists have devised a normalcy index to track how behavior has changed and continues to change because of the pandemic. Our index comprises 8 indicators split into 3 domains. The first grouping is transport and travel, public transport in big cities, the amount of traffic congestion in these same cities, and the number of international and domestic flights. So 8 has been divided into total 8 indicators split into 3 domains. Let's move ahead. The second looks at recreation and entertainment, how much time, attendance, professional training at work, football shifts, okay. Normalcy index committed mass as many countries in post-economic recession, it fell to just 35 in April. 35 in April 2020 before improving gradually over the year. Today it stands at 75. See that the world has 2/3. So students, we have ended the session for today. 2/3 will be the answer. 2/3 will be the index will be 2/3. So we have ended the session today. I hope you enjoyed the session a lot. Thank you so much.